It's Tuesday, March 5th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On Barnstable Today, we learn more about an out-of-state fugitive that was arrested by Barnstable police, get a legislative update from Representative Will Crocker, learn about volunteer opportunities on the hiking trails of Barnstable, and get tips for a successful job fair with the Youth Commission. Here's a look at municipal news and notes. Do you travel on South Street near the C Street intersection for school, work, doctor's appointments, or shopping? Now is the time to break out the map or GPS and plot your alternate route. Starting Wednesday, March 6th, drainage improvements on South Street near C Street will begin and road closures and detours are planned. The work starts at 7 a.m., weather permitting, until 3 p.m. and will last approximately 2 weeks. For more details and up-to-date roadwork news, subscribe to e-News or follow the town's Facebook page. Chief Sonnabend joins us in studio to share details on a recent arrest that led to a fugitive warrant from Florida. Fugitives from justice, but caught here on Cape Cod. With me today, Chief Sonnabend.
Good morning.
So we got a bad guy, but he's from somewhere else.
Well, yes and no. I mean, Mr. Selby, he was allegedly supposedly living in Harwich right now, or Sandwich right now, but I guess had transgressed the law down in Florida some time back, and they were looking for him. So he was driving around the Cape Cod Mall. People called us about him. He was operating his vehicle erratically, struck a couple of boulders, maybe the sidewalk and stuff. Officer went down to go get him. By the time he got down there, he'd driven up onto a traffic island. So the officer approached him, spoke with him, and determined that based on what he could see and smell and hear and everything else going on, that he appeared to be under the influence of alcohol. So was arrested, brought back to the station where we found out that he was a fugitive from justice from Florida.
So a fugitive from justice, not all states have the same laws. So he had to be maybe fingerprinted, and that's how you find those warrants out for his arrest. What happens with that? How do you work with another state?
No problem. Basically, the way it works is, someone commits a crime in another state. They flee the state. The state puts a warrant into NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Computer, which we all have access to. And another agency, like us in this instance, runs across the person somehow, whether you're stopping for a traffic offense or whatever it is. For whatever reason, you have an opportunity to run their name in the computer, and it will show that, hey, this person is wanted in Florida or Colorado or wherever it might be for whatever it is. And on that announcement, they'll say that whether or not the state is willing to come get them, because they have to say, yes, we're willing to come get them, but they can kind of qualify that and say, like, well, we're willing to come get them 50 miles outside of the state lines, or 100 miles, or we'll come extradite them anywhere in the country, or we'll come anywhere in the world and come get them. So they put that in there. We find, we get a hold of the person. We verify that person, they're actually willing to come get the person, and if they are, then the person can be arrested, or if they're not already charged with another crime that we're dealing with. In this instance, this person was arrested anyway, so they get brought back to the station. And if maybe they give you a false name so it doesn't show up, we still do the fingerprints, and we have a live scan fingerprinter that goes to the FBI. And so they may give us a false name, but then the fingerprint record will show, hey, this person's wanted somewhere else. And then we contact that agency. We verify that, yes, in fact, they are still looking for them. Yes, in fact, they will come get them. There's some exchange of paperwork. A notice goes back through NCIC. They confirm it and everything else like that. That all gets sorted out. Then the person's brought over to our court, and they're arraigned on our charges, if we have any, and they're charged with or arraigned on a fugitive from justice. Now, states are somewhat considered still like sovereign territories, like each state has its own laws and everything else like that. So the person charged actually has to be extradited to another state, almost like you go into another foreign country. It's kind of weird, but yeah, you got to be extradited. And the person can say, yes, I'm willing to go, or they can say, no, I want to fight that. I want to resist. So then if they do, then there's a little hearing on it and everything else, and then they decide whether or not they're going to extradite them. So in this instance, this person's going to go back to Florida, and they'll come pick them up, they'll take them back, and they'll face the charges that they have down in Florida.
It's really interesting how, you would think that the old posters wanted dead or alive in the post office is how, like, fugitives of justice get caught. But no, it's usually there's another crime or something that happens is they live among us, and they're from...
Commonly it's, get pulled over for speeding or something else like that, and you run the license and it comes up, hey, this person's wanted in Florida. And then sometimes that's where you're wondering why it's taking so long, why they're sitting there on the
Right.
side of the road. You know, this comes up, and then we got to contact back to the, we contact back to Florida or wherever it is, and we say, hey, we get this notice, are you really willing to come get them? And then if they say yeah, then if there's nothing else, we can act on that at that point.
Right.
But if they say no, we're not coming to get them, then we're not going to lock them up on it. We can't because they're not willing to come get them. So.
Right. And you can hold him until they come get him.
Well, we take them, it goes to court, they're
Right.
arraigned on that charge, and then the court will decide whether or not, usually they'll say, yeah, they're going to hold them because another state's coming to get them, and they have the paperwork. There's an exchange of paperwork behind the scenes beyond us. Right. And then they go and they're like held at a house of correction. They won't stay at our facility because we're a pre-detention facility. If someone gets arrested and the court's not open, that's why you stay with us.
Right.
But if the court's open, we have to take you over to court because you have to have a right to a prompt arraignment. So you get arrested, whatever processing we're done, we take you right over to court if it's open. But if court's not open, like on a weekend or a holiday, then that's when you spend a brief amount of time with us. So he wouldn't come back to us and stay with us until he goes back to Florida.
No, he gets the much better facilities up there in Barnstable County, right?
Maybe.
The comfy beds.
Yeah, the comfy beds.
So congratulations are in order. How many goals did you score?
I didn't score any myself.
You didn't score any goals?
No. I'm just there for support. I play defense, so I didn't score any goals.
Right.
But it was a great game. It was a great time.
6-5 was the score.
6-5 was the final
Guns
score.
and hoses?
Came right down to the final seconds. It was great.
Raise some money.
We did. Probably about $4,000 I hear got raised, and it's going to go to some good causes. As you hear, Captain Kenny, who just retired from the Hyannis Fire, has been diagnosed with cancer as well. So some of that money is going to go towards helping him get to his treatments and everything else like that. And some of it's going to go to the Hyannis Fire has some plans for it, and scholarships and other things they're talking about. But hopefully, this is going to try and turn this into an annual event, and we'll see where it goes.
All right.
Great cause.
Well, one up on the cup so far.
Shit, we didn't even have a cup. We just
No cup.
It was good though. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and everyone had good turnout, good crowd, and it was an exciting game. It was a lot of fun to do.
Excellent. Thanks, Chief.
Oh, and one last final word.
Uh-oh.
Be careful out there. Don't be passing cars that are stopped at crosswalks. Just a reminder. Keep an eye out, especially in this bad weather. And the roads are a little slick. It takes you a little longer to stop, and just be careful.
Be careful out there.
careful.
Excellent. Great advice. Thank you. Representative Will Crocker has his committee assignments and an update on Nero's bill moving through the legislative process. How does a bill become a law? Well, there's lots of bills now that have actually just made it to committee assignments. With me today, Representative Will Crocker. Will, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, as always. Thank you very much for having me.
So, committee assignments for bills have been assigned, I guess.
For some of them.
For some of them.
For some of them, not all of them yet. They're coming out piece by piece, basically.
And one very special to you, the Nero's bill, as we've been calling it. Tell us a little bit about that and the committee assignment that it got.
Well, now, Nero's bill, which now has a permanent House bill number, which is now H2037. I am the primary sponsor. It's going to the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, and it also, the Senate version of that is going to the Senate's Public Safety and Homeland Security. Okay. So, it's a good, favorable location for us. Basically what it is, it's an act to allow emergency responders, first responders, and EMS personnel to be able to treat a police canine who is injured in the line of duty. In Nero's case, with the Sean Gannon incident, he was injured, and there were first responders and people who were trained to be able to handle injured police canines were there and could have responded, but are not allowed to respond in Massachusetts due to the law that does not allow it.
Okay, so let's do a little schoolhouse rock for folks. So obviously you propose a bill and get it sponsored. Mm-hmm. What happens as it goes into committee? How does a bill become a law?
Well, we were very lucky in that when we introduced this bill, you asked for co-sponsors. You asked for members from the House, your colleagues in the House, and your colleagues in the Senate to go on and co-sponsor and say this is something we can support. We were very lucky, and we got 63 members out of the 200 to be able to co-sponsor the bill, which is very significant in the House and the Senate. So what happens now that we know that Bill H 2037, I was used to the other number, but it's 2037, is now going to be in the Public Safety and Homeland Security. We can now, we're waiting for it to get a date for which it will come up to be, for the testimony will be heard in front of that committee. And I have had, I can't even count the number of people who have said, when that bill comes up, when you have a date for testimony, let me know. And I've kind of let the committee chairman know that we may need a bigger boat because we may need to have a big hearing room, because people, 50 or 60 people have said that they would come up and testify. We're talking police chiefs, fire chiefs, canine officers, and people who are in the general public who support the police and who support, canine service dogs can get the treatment that they deserve, because as police will tell you, they feel that the canine officers are regular officers and they deserve the medical treatment that that the regular officer would get. So we're expecting a great number of people to come up when we get a date to be able to testify in support of this bill.
Right. And everybody will be able to see Nero if they go to the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Yarmouth. He's going to be marching with the Grand Marshal, his trainer, as well as his protector, Peter McClellan, will have him at the front of the parade. Yes,
he will be there. I'm going to be marching in the parade too, along with the Lieutenant Governor. And also, we want to tell you that my office nominated Peter McClellan for an American Red Cross, one of the Heroes Awards, and he'll get that presentation next month.
Fantastic. Any other news from the House you want viewers to know?
Well, we've got a couple of other bills that I just want to pass along too. We have a bill that we're still waiting to hear a committee on, which is going to be an act which freezes property taxes for senior citizens at the rate that they're at now. We haven't got a committee assignment for that yet. One of the other things is we're also concerned with children on school buses, and we're filing a bill that's going to be in the Transportation Committee, be in front of the Transportation Committee, that would outfit school buses with cameras on the outside of the vehicles, not the inside, the outside, that watches the roadways. So when we're in such an age now that people are texting and driving, answering their phones and driving, and don't have their full attention on what they're supposed to be doing, which is driving the car. Right. So these would be cameras on the outside of the buses that would record the stop and children, getting off the bus or getting on the bus, and just watching the traffic flow around the bus to make sure that they are, that it's safe. And if someone who blows through, a school bus that has the red flashing lights, right, we have the video of that person.
Right, and there's been several instances of that just recently, not necessarily here in Barnstable, but in other communities where folks have just kind of like driven right through those red lights.
Yeah, it's a shame, and it's something that we think we have to do to continuously just make sure kids getting on and off buses are safe.
Great, excellent.
You bet.
Any other pieces, or was those the?
We're working on that one. We're also working on a refile of a bill that we filed 2 years ago, which will allow police officers to be able to report to the Division of Child and Family Services information that they get as part of their investigation on children who are involved in domestic violence issues. Right now, there's a glitch in the law that does not allow police officers to report the information that they get from a domestic violence incident to the Department of Child and Family Services. So it's an easy fix, we hope, but you never know. Sometimes the easy ones are the hardest ones.
Right, exactly. Well, good work. I know there's lots of hearings that'll be happening and lots of work there, so we'll look forward to an update next month.
You bet.
Excellent. Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Do you have an appreciation for nature and want to help your community? Volunteers are needed for the trails on the Cape Cod Pathways in Barnstable. Will Holden from Barnstable Land Trust has the details. Contrary to popular belief, you don't stop hiking when it's winter. It's a cold day out here at the Cape Cod Pathways. With me, Will from Barnstable Land Trust. This is a beautiful day. A little cold.
A little bit. Yep.
So, Cape Cod Pathways, first tell us a little bit about what you do at the Barnstable Land Trust.
So I'm the land stewardship coordinator for the Barnstable Land Trust. Basically what I do is I manage the land. We have 160 properties, 1,100 acres of land, all over the town of Barnstable, and I manage the properties. We maintain trails, we build platforms to view ponds, and we just, we provide public access to our properties in multiple different ways as well.
What a fascinating job. Keeps you outside, so you seem to be, not that cold like I am. But this time of year is a beautiful time to get on the trails, less traveled. And we're standing in front of a Cape Cod Pathways trail right now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Cape Cod Pathways, it was an idea initially formed by the county commissioners in 1993. Basically what they wanted was a linkage of trail systems all around Cape Cod to get people out on the land to enjoy the land, to enjoy trails in a long distance format, as well as short distance format. So that's the beauty of long distance trails. You can get out for 30 minutes or you can get out for 5 hours.
Wow, and the Cape Cod Pathways, we're standing up behind the Coast Guard Museum, and I had not known about this. So tell us about this path here.
Yeah, so this path right here, it's about 1 mile, right behind Trazer Museum in Barnstable Village. It's a simple trail. It runs north-south, just through some woodlands. It actually goes over some train tracks as well. There's definitely a couple of vernal pools, a beautiful stone wall that runs through the property, and it just offers a lot in a very short distance hike.
That's great. And one of the things that we're doing out here today is we want to let people know that our Land Acquisition and Preservation Committee, in conjunction with Barnstable Land Trust, are looking for volunteers. You can't maintain all of this all by yourself.
Right. So in the town of Barnstable, Cape Cod Pathways, there's 21 miles of trails. And, over the past couple of years, we've been trying to revitalize the Cape Cod Pathways in the town of Barnstable. And, we've done things like install 14 brand new map kiosks, like the one behind you. We've installed and put up various trail blazes, painted blazes as well, and just done trail maintenance. But now what we want to do is we want to get volunteers out to monitor the trail, all of the trails. And what I've done is I've divided up the trails into 11 different volunteer sections. And we want to get at least one volunteer on each of these 11 sections, or a group of volunteers. And basically what the work consists of is going out to monitor your volunteer trail section, and use a field sheet that focuses on things like illegal dumping, if there's litter, if there's trail overgrowth, what is the condition of the kiosks and things like that. And there's no manual labor or anything like that. It's just simply bringing a field sheet out with a clipboard. You get to enjoy the trail, have fun, and then also contribute and give back to the town and the community.
Right, and what I really like about this volunteer position is anybody can do it, and this is a great one for families.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So I actually just had a new volunteer reach out via email, and she basically said that her and her 9-year-old son come out and they love hiking the trails.
Right.
So, there are 2 new volunteers right there.
Right. Perfect time for getting your kids to understand conservation and how important it is to their town. How do people get involved with this, Will?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. You can give us a call at our office, or you can, reach me via email. Our office number is 508-771-2585, or you can send me an email at will@blt.org.
What do you have for tips for winter hiking? A hat.
Definitely a hat. So I'm not wearing a hat right now, but you got to wear a hat.
Yeah.
A lot of layers. And, you definitely you still need water in the winter.
Okay.
That's very important. But yeah, just layers. Proper footwear, definitely, and definitely wool socks. That's the key.
That's the key. Wool socks. Keep your feet warm and dry.
Exactly.
Can't feel right if your feet are uptight.
Right.
Thank you. Do you have a teenager who wants to work this summer? Perhaps looking for their first job? The Barnstable Youth Commission's 3rd annual job fair is coming up March 6th, tomorrow, at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. It's not too early to start thinking about summer and that summer job for your teen. 14 to 18, do you have one of those at home? Well, with me today, Matthew McCauley, President of the Youth Commission. You've got the job fair coming up.
Yes, we do. Thank you for having us. So the Youth Job Fair is a program that we created for 14 to 18-year-olds. Basically, it's a actual job fair. We have employers coming in and setting up tables where students or the youth can walk around and introduce themselves and really try to find themselves a job, as well as we also provide other resources to help fill out forms. We have we have Warren Rutherford there to help with labor laws and kind of knowing what the restrictions are on a younger employee, and really just everything that a young person needs to get into the workforce.
So the Youth Commission took on this project. Why? Why do you think this is an important initiative for the Youth Commission?
So as the Youth Commission, we're supposed to be the voice of the youth and really address the concerns that we find most important. And one of those is being able to find a job and something to do over the summer. Some people just want to go out and go to the beach every day, but others do want to or need to help their families through working. So we decided, well, it can often be a challenge to find people who are hiring under the age of 18. So whatever we can do to help that is in our best interest.
Right. And somebody under the age of 18,
Yeah.
I'm sure, Lucas, you are a first time, you just entered the workforce.
Yeah.
What could a job fair do to really, like one that's focused on youth, what does it do for somebody like you who's just entering the workforce?
Well, I think when you apply for a job, it can really be overwhelming, and being at this job fair could give a way to guide you through all these forms and applications, and maybe a job that really suits you, and something that would really work for you over the summer.
Right, and when we talk about youth jobs, the list of employers here, there's quite a few and varied folks that are going to be, this is a real job fair, it's not just a mock thing, so there's real employers there looking to meet youth. Who are some of the folks that are going to be there?
So we really, like you mentioned, we have quite the variety. We have ranging from hawkers for the Cape Cod Times to perhaps some mild landscaping jobs or working even for the town or for the rec. Plenty of internship opportunities. We also have some volunteering opportunities and community service for those who are interested in that side of things as well.
Right.
And we do have more spots, of course. So if any businesses are still interested, we have a couple more tables, I believe, where they can reach out and join the fair.
So when we talk about really literally working for the summer, right? You said, some people want to do the whole, stay at the beach kind of thing. But when you're working for the summer, in some of the things that, for example, Warren Rutherford from the Executive Suite, he's going to be talking about interview skills as well. So there's going to be some real hands-on type of stuff.
Yep. So we do have a section dedicated really to what he's doing and basically giving sort of brief instructional seminars on being able to interview, what your rights are as a young employee, and just everything you need to know in kind of a quick, neat package to prepare you for whatever summer jobs you may encounter.
Right. And it seems it's a little early this year. Why is that?
So we received feedback last year from our vendors or for our employers, and they said that they wanted us to reach out earlier. They find it simpler to hire earlier in the season, so we pushed it as early as we could for our schedule, and we made it March 6th this year.
Okay, and where is this going to be held and what time?
This will be at the HYCC at 2:30 till 5 on March 6th.
On March 6th. What are you looking forward most? Have your job all picked out, Lucas?
Yeah, I've actually already applied for Barnstable Recreation. But it's really going to be interesting just to see how many kids turn up and see, because I think there's definitely a lot of kids in my grade who are going to be interested in a job this year.
Right.
So.
And some of these employers are actually going to be offering interviews once the kid expresses interest, I'm sure, right?
Sure, we've definitely had some experiences where kids will walk in, and if they make a good enough impression, they can be offered to schedule an interview right on the spot.
What's some advice you would give somebody to come to this job fair? Tie-dye T-shirt with ripped jeans may be appropriate?
I think definitely presentable. It doesn't have to be a tuxedo or something like that. But, maybe something like that. I'm wearing some khakis, a button-up shirt, golf shirt, just so that way the employer sees that you are willing to be prepared for a job. And show
making
that
that
you're
effort
ready.
now shows that you can be a good employee later in the summer.
Right. Do you think people need resumes and things like that?
You don't necessarily have to have one. I mean, the employers come understanding that this could very well be your first opportunity whatsoever. So it's definitely not something that's required, but you could consider bringing one.
Excellent. Anything else you want folks to know?
I think that's about it. I mean, come and get a job.
Come and get a job. And that's the Youth Ready, Set, Work Youth Job Fair. It's Wednesday, March 6th, 2:30 to 5 p.m. at HYCC. If you're a business, there are just few tables left. You can contact Amy Harwood here at the town of Barnstable. Now for a look at upcoming meetings for boards, commissions, and committees. Comments, suggestions, accolades, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works for you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.